Am I the jerk for saying my sibling ruins fun things for me and I won't let it keep happening? My sister Emily does not do well around unfamiliar people or places. She dislikes being away from our parents and often gets homesick. She easily gets overwhelmed. Our parents always ensure to remove her from the situation or cancel plans so she can feel comfortable again. They do this for all of us, not just for Emily. One parent will stay with her while the other parent will take the rest of us out so that I can still enjoy activities. This includes our own birthday parties, family sleepovers, trips with and without our parents, and plans with friends. This happens frequently to me. I never seem to fully enjoy my birthday parties, and I never have the option to have a party without Emily. Even something as simple as going to the movies with friends. Emily will contact my parents, and they will constantly call or text me to come back. Once, I tried to ignore them, but they showed up at the theater and insisted I leave with her, criticizing me the whole way home for making Emily miserable. Last summer, we attended a summer camp for the first time, but Emily couldn't handle it and only lasted half a day. The camp counselors tried to persuade her to stay a bit longer, but she called our parents and they picked both of us up. On another occasion during a school field trip, Emily wanted to leave after just 2 hours, and my parents insisted that I leave with them. My teacher tried to explain that I could stay and return home after the trip, but my parents were adamant. I've attempted to communicate with my parents through heart-to-heart conversations, acting out and crying, but nothing seems to work. I've given up hope that they will change their behavior. They told me not to make Emily feel like a failure. Sometimes, Emily discovers my plans and threatens to ask our parents to let her come along. There have been instances where I've expressed my frustration to her, calling her names and telling her that she ruins my fun. She doesn't seem to care if she disrupts my plans. Emily informed me that our parents mentioned a good sibling wouldn't harbor resentment towards their sibling for needing to leave early. I'm fed up with the situation. I felt this way for years, but felt powerless. Now, I hide plans that I really want to keep and try to prevent Emily from joining. Unfortunately, my best friend's parents unintentionally put me in a tough spot. They asked my parents if I could go on vacation with them, but my parents insisted that Emily also be included. When I refused and expressed that I didn't want Emily there, they were upset and argued that we are sisters. I stood my ground explaining that Emily tends to ruin the fun, and I refused to let it happen anymore. They questioned how I could say such things, and I reiterated that Emily's presence often spoils things, and I am tired of constantly leaving for her sake. Am I the asshole? You are not in the wrong here. Your parents are doing a really bad job by making you miss out on all kinds of stuff. They need to understand you are not your sister's emotional support, and your life shouldn't revolve around her. It is absolutely not your parents' call to demand your sister gets to go on someone else's holiday. Am I the jerk for asking my fiancé to do drug tests while supporting them to get clean? I recently found out my fiancé has been using cocaine regularly for at least a year. We have 2 kids. I discovered this because I was applying to skip a few months of mortgage payments. Both parties need to submit bank statements, including apps like Venmo. I had been suspicious of his spending and behavior for quite a while. I had found empty bags in the house, but he claimed they were casual, which I don't mind. Another argument about money last week prompted me to go through his statements, and all the transactions were there. I confronted him and he admitted to using it regularly, amounting to 450 cents K since March. I asked him how he could risk all of this. He broke down and said he would stop, that he would do whatever it takes. I'm not naive enough to think someone can quit cold turkey without any issues. I informed him that he was free to take all the time he needed. I also asked him to communicate with me, expecting setbacks and challenges, assuring him that I'm here for him. However, every time I inquire about his well-being, he rolls his eyes and tells me to stop asking. This past weekend, I became suspicious. Today, I asked him if he would be willing, just for a couple of weeks, to allow me access to his statements to track his spending and take some drug tests simply to reassure me because his word isn't enough anymore. His reaction was very negative. He made flippant remarks like, "What's the point of this relationship if you don't trust me? What, do you think you're my mother? And I'll actually do a drug test so I can laugh at you." If I didn't suspect it before asking, I definitely do now that he's coming down. There's no need for such defensive behavior. Is it unreasonable to request those things just for a few weeks? We have kids and shared assets, so I need to consider that above all else. I feel gaslit and have no one else to confide in about this without jeopardizing their relationship with him. You did nothing wrong here. He broke your trust already and he has to earn it back now. You're telling him what you need from him to do that, and there's no shame in standing your ground. Good luck. Am I the jerk for not talking much during my old friend's marriage? Some days ago, I, 21 years old female, traveled along with my parents for the marriage of an old friend, 20 years old female, Hope. We used to be close when we were kids, but we lost contact and didn't talk at all for almost a decade, although our parents remained friends. There wasn't any fight or drama between us, she just moved far away and we lost contact. Her family is religious, and in their church, if you're dating, you have to marry as soon as possible. She started dating last year and is now married. The point is, my behavior during the traveling days made my parents angry with me. I'm not a very talkative person, I'm more introverted, and sometimes it's like I have to prepare myself before talking. I do talk with my close friends, but Hope and I aren't friends anymore, to be honest. I'm not saying it in a mean way. We just didn't talk for almost a decade, and we grew very different. The problem is that both our parents didn't seem to understand this and started to demand that we hug and talk. We tried, but we don't have much in common. I also don't like being touched, especially frequently, and I know her mother didn't mean any harm. She's a wonderful person, but she touched me a lot, kissing and hugging me all the time, and I just kinda froze. She also wanted me to eat a lot, and I just couldn't, literally, but my parents continued to enable her to make me eat even when they knew I was about to throw up. I talked with them about it when we were alone, and they said they were angry at me for not being happy, and that Hope's mom was just being nice, which I don't disagree with in the last part. Afterward, they started to compare me with James, their other friend's son, saying that they should marry us because, I quote, "the two of you are antisocial weirdos." On the night of the wedding, I didn't talk much, although I tried and prepared myself to try talking. When Hope talked with me, I shook her hand and congratulated her in a low tone of voice. We only talked for about 2 minutes because she had to talk with the other guests. When we were alone, my mother got furious with me, saying I barely talked and embarrassed her so much it kicked her out of shame. My dad also said he was disappointed and that I need to learn how to communicate better. I know I'm not the easiest person to deal with, but I have tried. My parents keep saying I'm the one at fault for not speaking much at the wedding or during the travel at all. So, am I the antagonist? You are not in the wrong here. Some folks are just shy, and that's okay. It's wrong for your parents to be more concerned about how they were perceived at a wedding instead of focusing on the celebration. You don't need to be the talkative one at a wedding that isn't yours. Am I the jerk for telling my sibling they don't realize how lucky they are to have their parent alive? My father passed away when I, 17-year-old female, was 4 years old. I was fortunate that my paternal extended family remained a part of my life after his passing, providing me with people I could talk to about him. However, I always felt upset about how little I remember about him. I miss him dearly and wish he could have been in my life for much longer. My mother never quite understood my emotions regarding my father because she remarried 2 months after his passing and had my half-sister 4 months later. Despite my attempts to explain my feelings to my mother, she would dismiss my thoughts and redirect the conversation back to my stepfather. While my stepfather is kind and loving, he cannot replace my father. Nonetheless, I find solace in having my father's family involved in my life. However, my father's family has been a source of contention. They have never included my half-sister, 13 years old, in our gatherings and do not treat her as their granddaughter. This situation has led to feelings of jealousy and resentment, fueled by my mother and stepfather. My sister frequently argues with me about this issue. She believes it is unfair that I receive attention and gifts from our father's family while she receives nothing, claiming that we should both be treated equally. I explain to her that they are my father's family and not hers. Despite my efforts to convey this, she fails to see my perspective, which I have come to expect. Recently, the situation has escalated and my sister accused me of being selfish for spending Father's Day with our paternal family each year and for being fixated on a man who passed away before she was born. She criticized me for acting differently from her. I pointed out that we are different because she has both parents alive while I do not. She argued that I do have a father, but I refused to acknowledge it. I reminded her of the privilege of having a living father, which she seemingly takes for granted. She retorted that it was unfair of me to say that, as I do have a father who could make things better if I allowed him to. I defended my position, expressing my right to miss and yearn for my deceased father. My sister reported our conversation to her parents, leading to my mother's anger. She accused me of benefiting from the situation of having a deceased father while disregarding my sister's feelings, deeming my behavior as unacceptable. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here at all. It's tough, and your mum really needs to start empathizing with your experience. At least your dad's side is still in touch, which keeps that connection alive. It seems like your stepdad and mum have created an environment full of resentment, which has influenced your sister. Losing a parent at a young age is devastating, and she doesn't seem to realize how fortunate she is in comparison. Am I the jerk for embarrassing my parents by reminding them that they forgot my birthday? I, female 33, just had my birthday last week. The only problem is that no one in my family remembered. My maternal grandfather passed away about a month ago, and my entire family flew back to my mother's home country for the funeral. I unfortunately could not go as I have only recently started a new job. I was not particularly close to my grandfather, so I was not too upset about staying behind. My family was gone for a total of 22 days, and we stayed in constant communication during their trip. I think it is great that my mum got to reconnect with family and that my brothers got a chance to meet everyone. They got back last Wednesday and have been readjusting due to jet lag since then. My birthday was last Friday, 2 days after they got back. To be honest, I was not expecting more than birthday wishes from everyone, but the day passed without a word from anyone. Was I annoyed? Sure, but I was not too upset. I am not the biggest birthday person. I ended up having a nice birthday dinner with my boyfriend and a few friends. All hell broke loose on Saturday afternoon when I got a really angry phone call from my dad. I guess my boyfriend did a special Instagram post for me, and my brothers saw it and showed my parents. I had no idea he did this, as he is not a big poster. Anyway, I could hear my mum crying in the background while my dad laid into me, saying that they were sorry they forgot, but not saying anything, and then posting about it online was passive-aggressive and mean. I told him that I was not upset and that I did not think a 33rd birthday was that big a deal anyway. He said a few more things before abruptly ending the call. I did not hear from my family the rest of the weekend. Today, Monday, I woke up to a bunch of notifications. I guess my mum did a Facebook post talking about ungrateful kids and how I ruined their surprise party for me and tagged me. My extended family seemed to agree that I was a jerk. I have tried calling my mom, but she did not answer, so I posted my own reply and said, "You guys forgot, and no one wished me a happy birthday unless you count dad calling and yelling at me. Am I the jerk?" You are not in the wrong here. It seems like they're trying to make you feel guilty for nothing, especially with that whole surprise party excuse. Their reaction to get mad and guilt trip you to avoid taking any responsibility speaks volumes. Seriously, how do you think they would have reacted if you had mentioned it? They say when you know, but after 6 years, I still don't see myself marrying my partner. Is it time to end things or keep waiting? My boyfriend and I started dating 6 years ago in a casual, let's see how this goes, no pressure way. I wasn't head over heels for him, but we had fun together, so I thought why not? The sex is not amazing, but he's willing to try anything, which is nice, and always asks what he can do better. He is kind, but a bit careless. I.e. leaving dishes in the sink and dirty clothes on the ground, even after being asked multiple times not to. And he always seems genuinely contrite when confronted about it and says he'll try to do better, but the behavior doesn't change. Because we started dating casually with a let's see how this goes attitude, I've never felt certain about being with him. Basically, I've been in the assessing phase of the relationship this whole time, which was a fine place to be in the beginning, but 6 years in, it's starting to bother me. Recently, he's also been bringing up the idea of marrying me more frequently. He thinks I'd be a perfect wife, and he's all in and talks about having kids with me and all that, and I just don't have the same clarity for him. I want to get married, and when I get married, I want to know without a doubt that this is the person I want to marry. I want to feel that certainty about my husband. Yes, we've talked about it. He understands where I'm at, although it makes him sad, and is not pressuring me to marry him. He'd stay with me forever unmarried if that's what I wanted. But I do want to get married, I just can't imagine marrying someone I have doubts about. And, well, basically, the clock is ticking. I don't feel like I can be dating just to let's see how this goes anymore. It sucks because we've been through so much together, and I don't want to throw all that away. I just feel like I keep waiting for it to feel right, and it just isn't happening. It makes me sad. Maybe I'm the problem, and no matter who I'm with, I wouldn't feel certain, or maybe we're just not a good fit. Does anyone have relevant life experience they can share to help me through this? Thanks, A3. After 6 years, if there's still uncertainty about marriage, it likely means you don't want to marry him. If he wants to get married and you don't, it's kinda to end things so he can find someone who shares his commitment. I don't know often translates to, I don't want to. Don't waste both your time if the feelings aren't mutual at this point. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.